Good morning, friends. It's a pleasure to come and meet you because I think we would like to have the 15 minutes discussion we had is that we would like to manage this station in a little different way. The 60 minutes what we got, and I think we are slightly behind the schedule. We are running 10 minutes late. We would like to discuss, and I will request the panel members to put their thoughts across for 45 minutes or so, and we will leave last 10 or 15 minutes for an interactive session with you so that some of us sitting on the panel also can learn from the HR fraternity which is being represented here in this August room. Kumar, why you chose 11th, I don't know. It probably for HR fraternity, this question is to you. Today also happens to be the day when Tata Group CHROs are meeting in President Hotel. So is it an auspicious day for the HR fraternity today? I don't know. Secondly, this particular venue is very auspicious for me because I'm coming after a long time. My daughter got married in this venue. So thank you for inviting me in such a wonderful venue. Now, all the companies, if you look at across the retail group, are doing a lot of wonderful things. Government of India has taken an initiative where they have given some mandatory guidelines to the corporates to follow. But we should not look at those mandatory guidelines. Let's hear from some of the leaders here what their companies are doing, because the way our country is progressing, we need different thoughts, we need different leaders and people like you to practice certain things which are not prescribed. If you go only by the prescription given by the government, which talks about working on three primary pillars, which is inclusion of social, environmental and economical benefits to the society at large. I think I'll start off with saying a few things about what we are doing at Infiniti Retail, and being 100% owned by Tata Sons. Obviously, whatever is been given as a mandate or a direction by the Tata Sons, we try to practice that. We have taken an initiative, and looking at the gender bias here, some of you will be very happy, Power of 49 as the initiative Infiniti Retail wants to follow. Now this became a buzzword around election time, everybody was talking about it, but let me explain for people who don't know about it. 49% of our voters today are women votes. So we at Infiniti Retail have decided that can we work towards moving a little bit of this gender bias and have 49% of women working at Infiniti Retail. And if you look at my office for that matter, it is managed by a PA who's a lady. I have an executive secretary who's a lady. My head of HR is a lady. My head of marketing is a lady. And at the group level also, there is a certain amount of initiative and a conscious bias being formulated, where we are looking at developing women leaders. And there is a number which has been planned at the group level, so that by 2020 we will have X number of women leaders heading key functions or even the key companies within the group. The second initiative which we have taken is inclusion of society at Chroma. If you look at the Chroma bags, our bags are actually sourced from a foundation called Their Foundation in Munnar. Now Munnar has a small history, and I just want to share that for 2 minutes. During the British Raj, a lot of Tamilian workers were imported into Munnar, which is between Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and they were not allowed to go out of Munnar during the Raj time. So a lot of kids who were born, they were born with a lot of deformities because the blood didn't cross. Now their foundation actually employs these kids and people who are grown up now, and their kids also. And these bags are actually handmade bags, and we source it from that foundation because from a small township like Munnar, how else they can survive apart from the tea plantation? So there is a limited employment opportunity for these kids. So we thought that would be a good way to support the society at large. We also support one more initiative from the group. All of you are aware of Tata Memorial Cancer Hospital, which is set up in Calcutta. So every time you do the checkout at Chroma, we request you to pay 10 rupees, because when people buy 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees worth of television sets, they don't mind putting that 10 rupees on the table. And that money is collected and is given to the Tata Memorial Hospital in Calcutta, because that hospital is 100% owned by Tata Foundations and is supported. It so happens in our country, a lot of cancer patients are coming from our northeastern states, and those are the states which are not being so well looked after. If you ever go to Tata Memorial Hospital, you will realize that a lot of people from northeast are coming there, and that's where Mr. Tata and the foundation members thought of setting up this hospital in Calcutta. The third thing which we have done, and I'm very proud that Infiniti Retail has done a fantastic job on this, is the affirmative action. The philosophy behind this is that before Government of India makes it compulsory for us, all the corporate bodies, to look after the socially backward classes, specifically to mention SC/STs and those kind of classification. I hate personally those kind of classification being done, because we all are human beings. But we have taken extra cautious step that we will always recruit these people, even all things being equal. And when you look at the percentage of number of people working in Infiniti, we are very close to 20%. Apart from that, we are also neutral when it comes to the social divide we have between the various religious groups. So we again are very proud to mention that we have equal representation almost of these people, provided they want to work in the industry, and talent is one thing which we look for. One area of improvement which always hurts me, and I want to open that to the channel for my partners here, is that we as retailers have failed to look after one set of people who work for us, and they always give us a great business, are the people who work on our front end, called brand promoters. Now these are the people who come from deprived backgrounds, invariably are the new migrants into the cities. They provide a fantastic source of manpower to all of us to man those crazy hours we work. And if you look at them, I don't know what happens in Food Bazaar or Big Bazaar, what happens at your Raji, or even at mobile stores. They invariably are deprived of basic necessities which Government of India has provided, which is their Provident Fund, which is their ESI. I don't know whether all those kids who work on these shop floors, what kind of career path they have, what kind of coverage they have for these mandatory things. And at this, I would like to stop, and I would like to ask my panel members to talk about what they are doing, and post that, I'll give a few threads and ask relevant questions to you, so that it becomes an interactive session with our audience. Rajiv, if you...
Okay, I'll begin. See, one of the very important points that I think Ajit touched upon was gender diversity in the organization. We talk about equal opportunities, and I wrote a mail about actually increasing the contribution of women employees in the organization. My HR head said that's not equal opportunities. Equal opportunities means you need to be able to talk to physically challenged employees and things like that. What I actually feel is the fact that India has a huge potential power of women. We have spoken about elections and voting, but that's not the only power that women can bring to this business. Retail is a highly service-oriented business, and emotional intelligence, emotional quotient is a very important part of front-end service, and I think women bring that to the table. We said we need to work short-term and long-term on gender diversity. My long-term goal is to see, I have 2 daughters, my wife is qualified, she's a retailer as well. I want all children in this country, whether male or female, to get equal opportunity going forward, and 20, 30 years down the line, the 50, 60, 70% of the population, whether it's male or female, doesn't feel different about working in retail. Just to give an example of what we're doing. We started off an initiative with Nanni Kali, which is a organization which actually talks to girl education. I was surprised that this organization, which is part of the Mahindra Group, today with the support that it is getting across organizations, is only educating about 70,000 women per annum, girls per annum, which is a very small number for a country like India, and with a credible organization supported by the Mahindra Group. And we are a company of about 400 people. We are still a fledgling company in India. So what we said was the fact that how can we support? So I built a team of about 6 people from the office who are equally concerned about similar issues. And I said, let's work a beginning and let's put a goal in our mind in about 2 years' time to educate about 10,000 girls through this initiative Nanni Kali. Every bag that sells in the Celio store sells at 10 rupees and it's called a big bag, a good bag. And there's a small little write-up on it which says that every time you're buying a bag, you're contributing towards educating a girl child. Fortunately, unfortunately, about 50% people actually pay for those bags at the moment. But our goal with these bags is to get 2,400 girls educated per annum. In addition to that, we do some special merchandise in stores where about 20% of the revenues that we will be doing on that merchandise will be going towards girl education. And lastly, about 500,000 rupees worth of old season merchandise that I sell at the end of the year actually gets donated towards this particular charity. Now, we are a small organization. We definitely do not have huge resources at the moment to do it. But I think the intention is to say that if we don't sow the seeds today, all these imaginary things that women will get all the equal opportunities and all of them will be empowered enough to work in organizations like us is, I think, a bit of a myth or a folly. But I think we all need to really work together and actually contribute towards developing long-term value in women to be able to work in the organization.
If you don't mind, just hold on to your thought. I just want to share something which I learned in my formative years when I was posted in Manipal from the Pai Foundation over there. Was they encourage women from rural areas to work in their Manipal printing press and so on. And late Ramesh Pai shared this vision with me once, and I think he did make the impression, and I would like to, my colleagues from HR fraternity here to practice that, is that A, will bring a lot of accuracy to the job they are doing. B, very importantly, if you give them an employment in the formative years, age group of 19 to 23, I believe it is scientifically proved that Indian woman is most fertile during those days. If you give her an employment, obviously there is a pressure on father and on her husband not to produce kids immediately after the marriage. More you delay, better it is, because they improve the savings. This was the philosophy on which they built the entire foundation. And if you ever go to Manipal, if you see that, there are a large number of women folks who work there in a very tiny town of Udupi. And if they can practice it over there, I'm sure we can practice it here. Because the logic is that if the lady works to the age of 27, 28, she has created a bank balance. Obviously, the next generation from that family will go to better schools. The schools, kids will be better educated, and we'll have a very different young India. So, just to move on, to Sadashiv, and I'll come back to you, Rakesh. Sadashiv, you guys are doing some fabulous work at Future Group as well. So, if you can just.
I think all the points which you made, what our belief was that if we have to really blossom inclusion, then we have to really see the benefit of that in what we're doing. And hence all that you said, we women, including women, including the physically challenged, including housewives, where they form 55% of Big Bazaar's customers. I think what the real vision which we look at is if we serve a community, the community should also be inside the staff. And that's the lens which we build. So if we work in Mumbai and if we believe we are serving a Bengali community, then there's a conscious choice to get at least 4 or 5 Bengalis into our fold. So if you're serving a community, is that community also represented in the staff inside? And that's the philosophy which we use. The second, and I was just listening to Sauji talking about the industry being a very young industry, and I quite agree with that. And why I'm bringing this point is people like me who came in from, and many of my colleagues who came in from, let's say, the FMCG industry carried a lot of biases which were from an age-old industry. And I'll talk of two particular biases which now we have converted them into very constructive programs. One was we have a lot of people in the 1 lakh bracket who serve as for the front-end people who work in uniform who are now reaching 10 years, 12 years in their experience. The typical industry outside would possibly see them as baggage. And to be honest, I think we had also started